What happened to Storage Wars Barry Weiss? He went from being a fan favorite with unique charm and outrageous eyewear to being gone. Our screens disappeared without warning or goodbye. The reason for his sudden disappearance is complicated. Barry has a deeper story than you think, from health worries to behind-the-scenes moves that stunned even insiders. Stay tuned as we reveal the collector's fate. Barry Weiss built an empire in the produce business before becoming the colorful, eccentric treasure hunter that millions of viewers loved on Storage Wars. Barry continued his grandfather's history by working in the wholesale fruit and vegetable trade with his brother for over 2 decades. Barry's firm was successful and profitable, giving him the wealth to bid on storage facilities for fun rather than necessity. Barry had unlimited financial freedom thanks to the produce empire. Unlike other reality TV stars, unlike other Storage Wars cast members who were attempting to make ends meet with auction profits, could keep the cool stuff he uncovered. This basic motivational divergence would define him on the show. Barry's pre-television life goes beyond vegetables and fruits. Barry's relationship to entertainment and unusual personalities is deeper than most people realize. In a stunning turn, Barry participated in Motorcycle Mania 3 on Discovery Channel with Sandra Bullock's ex-husband, Jesse James. Barry is Jesse James's godfather, making this relationship even more intriguing, a relationship that reflects Barry's longtime involvement in motorcycles and custom cars, which would later shape his television character. Storage Wars' 2010 roster of distinct characters was a hit for A&E. Dave Hester offered aggression and debate, Jared Schultz and Brandy Passanti, the everyday couple dynamic, and Daryl Sheets, the serious professional buyer approach. However, Barry Weiss introduced something new. He offered excitement, unpredictability, and a love of hunting that wasn't about money. Barry stood out like a peacock amid pigeons from the start. Barry arrived in antique hot rods, custom motorcycles, and wacky t-shirts, leather jackets, and sunglasses, while other customers arrived in practical vehicles and business clothing. Fans tuned in to see what weird vehicle he would appear in next, making his entrances legendary. A memorable incident featured Barry arriving in a convertible painted like a watermelon with seeds, and another in a vintage hearse decked with skulls and crossbones. Barry's storage auction strategy was nicely encapsulated by the nickname The Collector. Barry saw possible additions to his huge collection of antiques, old objects, and weird curiosities, unlike his competitors, who saw profit signs in every box. His great understanding of collectibles offered him an edge in finding valuable artifacts that others would ignore. But more importantly, it made him thrilled about discovery. Barry's bidding showed his riches, not only his luxury cars and clothes. Because they intrigued him, he bid on units other buyers thought too hazardous or unprofitable. In one memorable episode, Barry won a unit full of outdated books and paper goods, which most purchasers avoid since they're hard to sell and don't make much profit. Barry found numerous rare first edition books and vintage periodicals worth thousands of dollars to collectors, while his competitors laughed at his wasted bid. Barry's genuine enthusiasm for the unexpected was pleasant. He found a unit full of garage rubbish, including old tools, car parts, and boxes of odd objects, in another memorable episode. Barry was happy to find a unique vintage motorbike engine buried in the mess, unlike other customers. Untrained eyes saw scrap metal, but the engine was from a 1940s Indian motorcycle and worth more than Barry had paid for the unit. Barry's interactions with other cast members was often the show's most amusing. His laid-back style and obvious affluence often angered serious bidders like Dave Hester, who took storage auctions seriously. In one heated debate, Dave accused Barry of raising rates because he didn't need the money, to which Barry answered with his usual humor, proposing that Dave enjoy the process instead of treating it as a race. Barry's relationship with Jared and Brandy was fascinating. Barry would describe storing objects for hundreds or thousands of dollars because he enjoyed them, even if they rarely made a profit. Barry sometimes taught his fellow buyers about the history and worth of collectibles. which caused some stress, but also provided wonderful learning opportunities. After Barry Weiss and Dave Hester left Storage Wars in Season 4, the show changed significantly. Barry left amicably, unlike Dave, who left amid controversy and legal disputes with the network. He wanted to go on to other ventures. Barry was valued by the show's creators, as shown by their efforts to bring him back in various positions over the years. Barry left Storage Wars without conflict or disappointment. Instead, it showed his wish to return to being a professional slacker, a lifestyle he had enjoyed before becoming a television star due to his financial status. Barry stated in interviews that he had achieved his goals with the show and wanted to go while it was still thriving, instead of staying too long and destroying his great relationship with the network and fans. Storage Wars was instantly affected by Barry's departure. The show continued with its remaining ensemble and introduced new characters, but many viewers felt Barry's spirit and style were lacking. His departure was hard to fill because no other cast member could match his wealth, experience, comedy, and real love for storage auction treasure hunting. Julie and Jack, Barry's older children, have surprisingly supported his television profession. Instead of being embarrassed by his unique on-screen demeanor, they've embraced his celebrity and take pride in his achievements. Barry has said in interviews that his children love his famous position and seeing him pursue something he's passionate about, even if it's unusual for someone his age. Barry created Buried Treasure, a spin-off series, shortly after leaving Storage Wars due to its success. Barry may broaden his hobbies beyond storage auctions into antiques, collectibles, and unique automobiles with this new program. By accompanying Barry on his nationwide escapades, the show revealed more of his personality and expertise. Buried Treasure showed Barry's collecting side, taking him to American antique shops, estate sales, and private collections. Barry's producers urged him to use unusual modes of transportation, resulting in memorable episodes where he drove vintage motorcycles and unique cars. Barry explored Amish land in a horse-drawn buggy, hunting for traditional handcrafted goods and learning about the community's modest lifestyle in one amusing episode. The spin-off also gave fans who missed Storage Wars a feeling of continuity by allowing Barry to guest star with some of his castmates. Reunions often made the show's greatest moments. Barry and his former co-stars maintained chemistry despite their varied careers. Buried Treasure failed to attract the same audience as Storage Warfare, despite Barry's charisma and creativity. The event was entertaining, but it lacked the competitive tension and unpredictability that made storage auctions so popular. Barry was without a regular TV platform for the first time in years after the network canceled the series after 8 episodes. Buried Treasure's cancellation began a quieter phase in his public life. Despite his collecting interests and broad network of antique and collectible contacts, he mostly disappeared from the spotlight. It marked his storage warfare existence. This change allowed him to focus on personal interests and spend more time with his family, especially his grandson Jack, who had become significant to him. Barry's tranquil retirement from television was suddenly interrupted by a motorcycle accident in April 2019 that changed his life. Barry was riding with MotoGP's Jamie Robinson when the event occurred, one of his favorite hobbies. An automobile unexpectedly moved out of a parking place into their path, leaving Barry and his friend no time to avert the incident, sources said. The collision severely injured Barry's chest and legs, includes internal damage and several shattered bones requiring rapid medical intervention. Barry was hospitalized for 2 months, most of the time in the intensive care unit, to stabilize his condition and treat his injuries. Multiple operations and rigorous physical treatment were needed for the agonizing recovery. During his hospitalization, social media rumors spread that Barry had died from his injuries. These fake allegations spread swiftly through fan communities and gossip websites, distressing Storage Wars fans who had followed Barry's career for years. The misunderstanding showed how much Barry meant to fans and how many people missed him. Barry recovered slowly and harder than expected. His physical health and ability to participate in many of his decades-long hobbies were compromised by the accident. Motorcycle riding, a hobby and regular element of his broadcast appearances, was difficult throughout his recovery and remained limited after he was released from the hospital. The accident also affected Barry's risk-taking and adventure. He had always been willing to try new things and take calculated chances in his collecting, but the near-death incident prompted him to rethink his goals and lifestyle. Barry became more cautious and thoughtful about his actions, but he maintained his optimism and humor during rehabilitation, according to friends and family. Barry Strikes Back added a new twist to his relationship with Storage Wars after his recovery. Barry and his friend Kenny Crossley provided commentary and behind-the-scenes insights while revisiting old episodes of the original series in this new spin-off. Barry shared insights and opinions viewers had never heard before on the reaction program. Barry Strikes Back brought back fans' favorite treasure hunter. However, it was criticized for recycling old content rather than creating anything new. Numerous spectators believed that Barry's commentary, while occasionally enjoyable, lacked the thrill and unpredictability of his original Storage Wars performances. Barry couldn't express his knowledge and charisma in new ways because the broadcast used existing video. Barry Strikes Back's format showed how Barry had changed since Storage Wars. His humor and knowledge remained, but his accident-related physical restrictions and energy level were different from his earlier television appearances. These changes weren't bad, but they marked a new chapter in Barry's life and profession. Some supporters struggled to adapt. Barry Strikes Back was canceled after 10 episodes, another setback for Barry's TV career. It appeared that lightning rarely strikes twice in the same location, and that reproducing Storage Wars magic was harder than expected. The cancellation was another turning moment for Barry's relationship with television and celebrity. Barry has kept his affinity for motorcycles and vintage cars despite his broadcast career disappointments. He indicated interest in creating programming that combined his love of two- and four-wheeled mobility with his travel adventures in a 2017 interview. His objective was to explore diverse cultures and communities' transportation and crafting methods. Barry knows more about motorcycles and old cars than most Storage Wars watchers. He has ties with builders, collectors, and fans worldwide, and he knows everything from antique American muscle vehicles to rare European motorcycles. This network of relationships has allowed him to participate in shows, events, and private sales that keep him passionate even when he's not on TV. As Barry has retired from television production, his relationship with his grandson Jack has grown. Barry says spending time with Jack and watching him grow up is one of the most enjoyable parts of his life. The grandfather-grandson bond has changed Barry's priorities and how he spends his time. Despite his fame, Barry's personal life has remained discreet. When asked about his relationship status, he jokes that he has plenty of material to keep me occupied after 30 years of divorce. His choice to favor collecting, family, and personal independence over romantic obligations reflects his broader approach to life, choosing what offers him joy and contentment over what others anticipate. Barry's produce company Riches allows him to make decisions based on personal happiness rather than financial necessity. This freedom has been a benefit and a curse for Storage Wars followers who believed his financial advantages biased the battle. Barry's answer to such criticism has always been that he joined the show for enjoyment rather than profit, and that his approach gave the show a unique look that people liked. Barry's collecting philosophy hasn't changed during his career. He's always preferred preserving interesting objects rather than selling them, since he's more interested in their tale than their value. This strategy has led to a large personal collection of vintage motorcycles, vehicles, rare antiques, and oddities that most people would never collect. Since Barry's Storage Wars days, competition, prices, and sophisticated bidders have made it harder for casual participants to find valuable items at storage auctions. Barry's early success on the show came when storage auctions were less popular and less competitive. Storage Wars' popularity changed the market, making Barry's laid-back attitude less appealing to newcomers. Barry unexpectedly returned to Storage Wars for its 14th season after nearly a decade. Producers teased and promoted his return to maximize impact. The campaign generated interest among long-standing Barry admirers who had never ceased hoping for his return. We know that Barry Weiss is a rare reality TV star who stayed true to himself throughout his career. Barry has always faced life with humor, perseverance, and passion, whether he was driving exotic cars to storage auctions, sharing his antiques knowledge, or recovering from terrible injuries. His story evolves, and followers are curious about his next trip. If you love Barry as we did, share your favorite Storage Wars moment. Click like, subscribe, and bell to never miss another behind-the-scenes story.